things that women enjoy are constantly dismissed as not important and not valid. And so when you frame an artist or a fandom as being mostly women and young women, it frames the artists themselves as not important or valid.
Hello, welcome to
TTK.
Today we're joined by a fellow K-pop expert. If it wasn't clear, that's Lucy Ford right here. Lucy, tell us your CV around K-pop.
Okay, it's quite brief actually. So I got into K-pop like a couple of years ago because of my sister. So my sister's like my best pal, and she just was showing me videos because I've always really loved boy bands.
Right. Yeah. You're a Harry Styles stan.
I'm a huge Harry Styles stan.
I was like, when are we going to get there? I'm going to say it.
It took 30 seconds for me to talk about Harry Styles. So I've always really liked boy bands, and so my sister was like, well, you should like look at these videos, and she showed me like BTS and GOT7, and because I'm incapable of being a casual fan of anything, I was like, I'm going to jump wholeheartedly into
like
this.
nosedive. Just
literally. And so since then, it's been a couple of years, and then since then I've just kind of, it's like consumed my life
and
in a fun way, like,
and with work as well.
Yes.
So tell the viewers like what you do.
Okay. So currently I am an entertainment reporter. So my job is to partly interview celebrities and then also just kind of keep on top of things that people care about in the world of entertainment. And it turns out K-pop has a huge fan base.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought?
Wait, it does? Like,
yeah.
What? We had a meeting. We decided to actually meet up for the first time like a couple of weeks ago, or actually it was last week. It was literally like 4 days ago. Yeah.
Time flies.
When you're having so much fun in the K-pop world. But because we were talking at the time about how journalism and K-pop, especially in the UK, is kind of like a mixed bag.
Yeah.
More often than not, it's negative. And so we wanted to make a video kind of talking about just our experiences, but your experience, and then kind of the whole fandom experience around how K-pop's reported in the UK. And like, I wanted to call it, in my notes, it's typed responsible journalism and K-pop. Not that
I like that.
You know,
Nothing's going to get more clicks than that title.
Do you know what I mean? That's my panel
engaging that
title.
was.
Like if I was to do a panel on K-pop and responsible journalism.
I'm actually kind of a nerd, so I would like totally work on that.
They were like, yes,
Fine.
I'm like, ooh,
I eat my words.
responsible.
But I prepared a doc. We asked you guys on Twitter, without like naming and shaming outlets, because I think, we can raise people up without putting them down, but there are some cruddy ones out there. So I thought what I'd do is just read them out and trigger us each, and then we can sort of just discuss each one.
Perfect.
So Nat has said here, it's not really bad because they're trying, but like constantly misspelling names and having a photo of the wrong group happens a lot. This actually affects me because it's not that hard.
I think that's the thing that bothers me the most about that, because fact checking is like really not hard.
Yeah.
In the sense of if you've misspelled a name, you can put it into Google and it will tell you that you spelled the name wrong. I think it was on a red carpet. I think it was the AMAs maybe last year, and NCT were there, and they put a picture and they were like BTS on the red carpet, and I was like, the numbers aren't right. Like numbers aren't like look at.
It's like double the size.
First of all,
there's 46 of them.
Yeah.
NCT has 100 members.
I just think, basic fact checking kind of bothers me because, we're all licensed to make mistakes, but I think in the rush for people to get things out and get clicked on, mistakes are made. And there are some things that you're like, that's an innocent mistake. It could have been a typo. It happens all the time. But when it's mixed with like quite generally shoddy reporting
and clout chasing,
and it's just like we want to get there first and we want to get the clicks, and regardless of whether we do it right, we'll get the clicks. And
but in doing so, they've actually just damaged their position.
Exactly.
Because like now you actually can't credibly report on K-pop without looking like you're just trying to put BTS in everything.
I've got a tangent for you that we're going to take, and then we'll come back to the point. But that annoys me the most when you see like TV channels that have Twitter or like radio shows that have Twitter, and they will endlessly tweet about or use on social like the bands and the groups and their fandoms, and then will never play their music or feature them in any on their platform.
Enough
and
is
it's
enough.
like it gets to a point. It's like, do you think we're that stupid that we don't see that's going on?
That bothers me, I think, more than anything. Yeah. It's acknowledging a fan base without acknowledging what they're fans of.
Yeah.
And it's constantly telling fans to prove why you should give something your time instead of actually like you would. It happens. You wouldn't have that with Western artists a lot, and it's almost like, oh, prove to us how much you love something, and then maybe we'll give it's the respect.
Yeah, it's like you need to earn it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, because if we look at across the pond to America, you know, radio like Disney, or I'm trying to think of other outlets.
Like iHeart, is it iHeart Radio?
Yeah, like
radio.
they have like Monster X, and they'll have BTS, and they'll have Blackpink on their shows.
But that's because America's a bit further ahead in terms of appreciating K-pop. Do you think the UK will get there?
I think it will. I think it's starting to. It's also for K-pop companies. I think America is like a much bigger market.
Yeah, we're a tiny market.
We're a tiny market.
Tiny.
And we're a tiny. But no, that annoys me. Where like especially when random brands I'm not gonna name names, but like when random beauty brands or like hair care brands get in weird fights about BTS online. It's like, why is X shampoo? It really bothers me.
That goes on to say a good proportion of American interviews themselves with idols are pretty bad and have questionable questions. Have you seen a particular question that stands out for you in an interview? Because I've got one right now that I could just come out with.
What's yours?
It's probably the same
It's
one.
when they ask other K-pop groups about how they feel about BTS's success. Specifically when Monster X were out there.
Yeah, I suppose from my point of view as someone who like interviews people and I understand the frustration of that, because like they are their own artist, and just because they are Korean doesn't mean that they're the same.
Yeah.
But I do also recognise, like, I've had to do it where I've had to bring around a really noticeable name to almost make it relatable to an audience that doesn't know.
Yeah, I see.
And so
I hadn't considered that. That's a good point.
I think it's finding, depending on the outlet, you're marketing to the person who knows the least. So you can't assume that people know things, and so like someone might not have heard of Monster X, but they probably have heard of BTS at this point. So
it's almost like a gateway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
I
it's
understand
like,
that. Actually, that's a good point.
But I also understand the frustration of it, because you're your own artist.
You like BTS.
Yeah.
Let's draw the parallel here.
Because it's still considered an anomaly.
Yeah.
To care about like a band that doesn't sing mostly in English, or bands that don't sing in English. So yeah, relating it to something that people know about, I do kind of understand.
Yeah. It doesn't need to be antagonistic when they do it.
Yeah.
But I've seen a few examples where, to be fair, I think they were probably just paparazzi trying to get a reaction out of them. It's being like, the example I've seen is Blackpink, where they're walking to their car, and as a journalist, I do think it's just paparazzi.
Yeah.
Being like, what do you think of BTS? How do you feel about BTS success? They've been on Jimmy Kimmel. What do you think? Blah, blah, blah. So I think that...
That's gross. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like, come on now.
So you can use it as a frame without being negative necessarily.
Yeah, and I think if you kind of tailor the question to relate it back to them, it shows that you care. If you just go, what do you think of BTS? It's like, cool, I think they're great.
Also, I want to know from you guys at home, if you can comment, any standout questions you've seen asked of idols that trigger you, like this.
Who do you want to collab with? Annoys me more than anything, because who cares?
Do they need to collab? You know, they're already here. Do they need
for
to?
the example of BTS, they are probably bigger than most of the bands that they say or artists that they want to say that they want to collab with. And also, who's your crush, or who do you fancy?
Oh, yeah, my least favourite question.
We have a question about this now, but let's just get onto it now.
Okay.
It is, so it's kind of a taboo to talk about, to Korean K-pop idols, who you're going out with, who you're dating, because if they are, it's probably quiet.
Yeah.
And also, you can't assume an idol's sexuality either.
It's the classic thing of trying to make something relate to an audience in the way that they would care about it, and it's like, again, I think it just is kind of a gross assumption, because it's like, oh, how can we make them care about it? Oh, they must fancy Ariana Grande, so you'll care now. And I just think it's hard, because it's like, it's such a different thing, because a Western artist probably wouldn't have a problem saying that they fancy, Choice of Fans, like, oh yeah, I think Shawn Mendes is hot.
Yeah, and like laugh it off.
And it's cool.
Yeah.
There are like the politics at play with like K-pop is different.
It's like different nuance there.
It's a different nuance. It's a different structure and like climate about it, and what they're allowed to say or what they feel they're allowed to say is different.
It comes with understand. I guess, like you said, researching, they don't understand the culture around it.
Yeah.
I guess it's ignorance, but also at the same time, it's quite a forward question to ask anyone.
Like that, I would feel really uncomfortable asking anyone that question.
It is uncomfortable.
This is maybe me looking into it too much, but maybe I think they're assuming that they have a large audience of young girls, therefore they would like to know who they're dating.
Yes.
And because I don't care about that. I'm not going to be uninterested in it, but I'm not actively looking to find those things out.
Yeah.
For example, I'm interested that Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom are going out. But that's because that's what they talk about a lot. It kind of, that is that narrative there.
Well,
but I don't
Katy
care.
Perry songs about love and romance.
Yeah.
But not that. I think it's more that that's just something that they're actively promoting, but I don't care about it. Like, it's just in my face, so I'm interested, if that makes sense. But I don't know if maybe they think that a lot of young girls are going to care about that, which is a negative stereotype, because they don't, maybe.
And also they might care about it, but then also the celebrities A, entitled to a private life, and B, probably doesn't. You know, you saw it a lot with One Direction, like their girlfriends got absolutely harassed. And so even if fans do want to know, it might not be for the right reason. For some fans.
And also it's like the viewpoint where the K-pop artists are almost married to their audience and their fans. It's like they're giving them all everything.
Because that is a thing. Like, I know that it's different for different groups, but it is a thing of like, we want to be, you know, they say, we love our fans so much, and that's obviously great. It's so cool to like love your fans that much. But
I believe it.
And I do believe it. I
feel loved and seen.
I feel it.
Felt more loved in my life. Generally of like, you're our priority, and everything else is like secondary. Whether or not that's true in their personal lives, but that is the thing that's portrayed in a like positive
question
way.
Then.
Yes. How
How would we feel then? Let's do this hypothetical then.
Okay.
So BTS, it's 2020, and we've got 4 of the members come out saying we actually have been in relationships or long-term relationships. What do you think that would do to their audience? I think my thoughts are that it would be a positive thing.
I think at this point it would be a positive thing. I think I've watched one of your videos. I have quite a few issues with BTS Paved the Way.
Yes.
For a lot of the similar reasons that you do, but I do think actually at this point they are so big and people like them so much as people that I think they would just be happy for them. Like, you see it with them going on a break, everyone was like, woo! Like,
Go on holiday, take a month off, and they just spend it all on Twitter.
Never come back!
Have you seen the video of Jimin where he's in the nightclub?
Yeah.
And the girls that are doing this? I've now that's the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Do what?
This is
it's finger flicking game.
They do
It's
this,
like a drinking game.
and they go on Jimin's head, and I'm like, yes, Jimin.
Yeah, get
that flick in the head.
There is probably a loud minority that wouldn't be happy, as there are with any fandom. But I think at this point people would just be happy that they're able to be normal.
Yeah. I guess it would, unlike the Paved the Way thing, it would be just saying, you know, make it more human.
Yes.
And that's the problem that K-pop artists struggle with. They're like factory farmed.
Yeah.
But BTS, as we know, like kind of buck the trend. So I guess it would really help them in that sense.
It would help them, and I think it would help other bands that are coming up after them also.
To change the norm in the K-pop
and to
world.
be like, it is okay for like these 20-something like attractive guys
Overly
in their
attractive.
prime, overly attractive people, and like girls as well, like to just reap the benefits of that.
And live a normal life.
Yeah.
This representation of armies being crazy, screaming 12-year-old girls.
It's the most annoying part.
But that's what they do with 1D, right?
Look, I am crazy and screaming, but I'm not a teenage girl. So therefore I've already bucked the trend.
I'm well and truly not a teenage girl anymore.
Yeah. The first time I went to a K-pop show, I think it was Zico, and I was amazed by the diversity
Block
of
B.
the crowd.
It was Block B.
Oh, sorry, Block B. I was amazed by the diversity of the crowd.
Yeah,
and not just in background, but also in age. And I think that's what is so different about K-pop. Because I've never had that anywhere other than a festival, I think.
Yeah, I think there's like a lot at play with people reducing boy groups or girl groups, boy groups especially, I say BTS then, of just having a female fan base, because it basically makes adults who don't care be like, oh, the only reason that they're popular is because like girls love them, and like it invalidates their talent, and it also means that people don't feel like they don't have to research it or look into it.
Interesting point.
And I think also, I could go on for like 7
No,
hours
I like
about
it.
this.
Please do.
But things that women enjoy are constantly dismissed
Yeah.
as not important and not valid. And so when you frame an artist or a fandom as being mostly women and young women, it frames the artists themselves as not important or valid or worth respecting.
This is so true.
This is
It
like-
trivialises it.
It trivialises it, and it means that adults, like, or whatever, the people who are in charge of creating content around it, they feel like, oh, it's pointless.
They can be more blasé about it. They don't brush it
you
off.
see it with so many things, like you see it with anything that women enjoy most, that are things that are considered female-centric.
Yeah.
They are considered like less
That's a really good point.
worth respecting.
It's really funny that BTS
such
have made.
a point. I love how you put that. That's so true.
So then the irony of BTS making a song about, okay, so my background, Sammy did a degree in ancient history, and so did I, but the song about Dionysus was a traditionally female-centric god. You had the Bacchites, who were normally women, and it was, in Greek history, the men would be like, let the women go and enjoy their women things, we don't need to care about them because this is a silly god.
But the whole point of Dionysus is that he empowered these women, and they could be savage in that they'd enjoy things that typically men enjoyed, and it was...
BTS are so intellectual.
We stand.
I didn't even need to go to university. There was the SNL sketch when they went on SNL, which was like framed it as just screaming girls, and that really bothered me because actually, it clearly isn't.
I saw a lot online about that. And it was just like it's just furthering this narrative that it's just young girls.
Bothered me because you just, like you said, like if you go to a BTS concert or if you go to any K-pop show, actually, the diversity in the age, it's not just like the adults there aren't just parents.
Yeah, race, gender, age. It stuns me how diverse it was.
Yeah, and I think it was really easy, especially like in the olden days of like boy bands and girl bands, because fandoms weren't as, you couldn't put a face on people as much. It'd be like the Take That fans or like even the One Direction fans. It was like, what was that, 6 years ago? The internet has changed now, so you can actually look online and be like, this person is in their 30s, this is a man, this is, there's no excuse now to be like, oh, it's just 12-year-olds. Because you can actually see people's like Twitter pictures and stuff. Yeah.
Name dropping popular K-pop artists in scandals in the industry which are completely unrelated to that group.
Yeah.
So that one, right now there's the American gymnast Simone Biles. I don't know how to say Simone, who is incredible. Like if you've seen what she's done, the amount of backflips she can do in about 30 seconds is ridiculous.
All I've done in my life.
It's not human.
But it's her half-brother was, I think it's a half-brother or a relation of hers was arrested, and they put her on the cover of every single piece, and it's like, why are you doing that? Why is that relevant? And it's the same with K-pop acts. It's like putting, I think I've actually seen articles where BTS have been used. And to be fair, I think it's probably lazy journalism or it's cynical journalism where they're going to get the clicks.
Yeah.
And they're using them in relation to some of the scandals that have happened recently. And it's like, they're in K-pop, but they're not related, so why are you using them? But maybe that's the lens at which they're looking through it from.
Yeah, from my point of view, kind of similar to being asked about another band, like that thing of relating it to an audience that knows. Do, in a sense, understand, say, name-dropping BTS in, like, the scandals that were coming out of Korea.
Yeah.
Because, actually, I had so many people come up to me who don't know about K-pop and going, like, oh my god, your band that you love, like, they've been caught up in this, and I was like,
really?
No, they haven't. Yeah. But it's because they don't know, and so they see a K-pop band, and because they only know one, they think there's only one.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to get caught in a bubble of like, it's an echo chamber, isn't it? The things that you enjoy, and like I follow a lot of fans and like follow a lot of K-pop content, and if for some people it is just not a world that they know at all. I think we talked about that when we met. It was like you dive in, you're like, oh my gosh, there's like this whole fandom world that I didn't even know about.
Concealed behind a little curtain.
It's the biggest thing you've never heard of, and there's literally like you open the door.
Whoa.
And so I do kind of. I think name dropping them for no reason is really irresponsible. I think if you go, if you mention, say you mention BTS, it's to relate it to be like, oh, this is the culture and the climate, but they're not part of it, so don't worry.
Yeah, I guess people want to know.
Again, it's reporting to the people who know the least.
BBC would do it, for example, about like if they were writing about Parliament, they'll give context to who that politician is, or like, so for example, they'll be like, if they would use BTS as an example like this, they'd talk about the scandal, and then in the last paragraph of the article they might say, for example, BTS is a prominent K-pop band, they have broken this many records, and
it's good
that's
for SEO
fine
as well, though, you got to remember.
Yeah, I mean, there is that element to it of like good getting clicks, but I think it's just also a thing of like why. No, but like it's media, it's fine. But I think it is like it's partly to do with clicks, and then also a thing to be like, this is, you might know of a band, this is like to do with other stuff around it.
Because I think this has actually just turned into like a current affairs of K-pop
sort
of thing, and I love
it.
Okay, does the whole Keemstar rubbish count? Sorry I put his name, but that was a lot of bad coverage on Twitter and unfair. Annoys me when people paint everyone with the same brush. And this was about how you see a lot of K-pop fans jumping on a trend, on a hashtag, and they'll put like a fan cam in it, and they'll be toxic.
I think we discussed this the other week. Like, I find that funny, but then I totally see why that's annoying.
Yeah.
Like, if the trend is Boris Johnson cancelled, like, and then suddenly you go in there and there's a video of
seesaw
Luna.
fan.
Yeah.
There's literally sugar jumping off the seesaw. Like
Brexit's bad, but here's Luna.
Yeah,
It's like,
I mean,
okay.
I love that because it's my two passions colliding: Boris
Yeah.
Johnson being a terrible person and K-pop. Like, I love that.
I have two thoughts about
I think
this.
it's so for me.
Boris Johnson, twice. Sometimes, because it's quite invasive, I feel like
Yeah.
it might put off a potential K-pop enjoyer and fan into someone that would then be apprehensive about going towards it because it's like, whoa, you're really pushing this down my throat.
Yeah.
That's my concern.
I think for me, it's the idea of like, it's kind of funny for
It's
like,
really funny.
it's funny the first few times you
Yeah.
see it, and then it's like the jokes. When you see it on like a whole thread and it's just like fan cam after fan cam, you're
Yeah.
like, the joke's old, guys.
Yeah, it's definitely a dead joke.
That's when some like the odd one, you're like hilarious, like this video of Luna just
Yeah.
like killing it.
Oh, I've not seen this one.
Yeah, and you're like, woo! Yeah, it's one of those things of like everyone making the same joke, and so
Yeah.
it's not as funny. So that doesn't bother me as much. I actually do really like it when K-pop fans like take over hashtags
Yeah.
because hashtags are so unimportant. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
so-
at the end
yeah,
of
it's
the day,
like
it's like such
mundane,
a
it doesn't
small
matter.
thing to like, wow, like
Yeah,
a fan
but-
cam really getting you that pressed. Like, come on.
You know, someone's like looking at all these press non-K-pops. It's like, you know what?
Exactly.
It's funny.
Just
like,
scroll on past, it's fine.
exactly. I just get concerned that it paints all K-pop fans in a bad light when...
Yeah.
But it is obviously just a vocal minority doing it.
I mean, Twitter's a funny place because, you know, you are like able to have conversations with people that like in real life you'd be like, I'm not talking to you.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're making silly points and you get wrapped up. And so it's basically a place where everyone is just shouting their opinions and everyone thinks that their opinions are the most important thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the loudest and most uninformed or the most toxic are the ones that like get heard the
Yeah.
most. And I have to take a break from Twitter because it's too much noise.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I just wish I could have the funny content without
Yeah.
a lot of the toxic content. But a lot of times it comes hand in hand because of like things that people like on their Twitter will show up on your timeline, and like it's impossible
Which
to
I
not
hate.
get me too,
Why
because
is that
also
there?
I know
So I
everyone
follow
that I'm
who I
friends
wanna
with is
follow.
like, why do I see so much BTS content on my timeline? It's like, oh, Lucy,
Why
like
are these
this.
gin pictures coming out?
Why is it like gin pictures every day?
Gin selfies everywhere.
But that's the thing. Like, I think people get tarred with the same brush because there are like people who make silly points on Twitter, and then
A lot of them.
a lot of them, like, let's not beat around the bush. Yeah, it's like you're having a conversation, the biggest conversation in the entire world, with people that you wouldn't have a conversation
Yeah,
with
yeah,
normally. So
And you can't reply in real life with memes.
I know.
And you
it's
can on
not-
Twitter.
I mean, I do speak in memes
Do
quite a
you?
lot.
I talk in
I know.
Vine references. I know.
I do
And,
Vine
what-
references all the time.
Same, literally.
I'm very regularly shouting, I'm claustrophobic, Darren! Like, a lot.
I don't need the money! Multiple K-pop group has 4 versions of the album. Media, they're milking the fans for money. White Western artist has 4 versions of the album. Media, the innovation, the flavour. I laughed when I read this though. I did think it was
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I've never heard anyone being like, they're milking their fans for money. I've never heard that because I just thought it was commonplace.
But I do think sometimes it comes down to, obviously, the ticket prices for shows are really
Yeah.
expensive.
Well,
they're
that's
really,
what I thought
they have
people picked
such a
up on.
frequent release cycle as well. So it is like maybe they are trying to... And then, you know, big hit aren't ashamed to make it about the money. So it's like maybe...
I mean, sometimes it like, I think, obviously the things that you're a fan of, you love for personal reasons, but at the end of the day, an artist is there to make money.
Yeah.
And or a company is there to make money. And the fact is, I think what I have with the whole like Western artist, the innovation, the flavour, is that
Flavour.
the flavour. Artists don't make money on music anymore.
No,
So they're
they
trying to
tour.
find a way. And looking to K-pop, it's like, wow, there is so much money in K-pop.
I
Like
think it's
South
just
Korea has basically like just exploded its own economy
Yeah.
in K-pop, and they're like, now, you know, artists are getting like 5 pence a stream, and if you don't listen to the whole song, they get nothing.
Yeah.
And so they're trying to find a way to
Profit.
get money
Yeah.
to live, because then that's why ticket prices are so high, because
Do you think,
that's how they get their money.
when I see K-pop, I just think they've just made pop so efficient.
Yeah.
I just think they've streamlined the whole process and sped it up, and it is just efficient, and it's a money-making machine.
Yeah.
And good luck to them.
And I also really love 4 versions of things, because I actually
Yeah.
really like that you
Collecting.
get like a little book. It's like a...
More chance of photo cards.
Yeah, and I also just think it's like, it makes music an experience.
There's a reason they were nominated for a Grammy based on their album package alone. Like,
Yeah.
it's not just obviously BTS. I think K-pop has done that so well, where the reason for physical sales all over the world are dropping, but for some reason in K-pop they're soaring because there's the attention of detail that goes into the package, and
Yeah.
each like, I don't actually buy the physical albums because I have Spotify, but the ones that I do own, it's like it's a mini experience, every single one. And I got that. We actually bought Persona because I loved it. I thought it was a beautiful package, great colour pink. Just saying,
perfect.
Pink is
millennial
such a
pink.
pastel, pastel.
Really matched my
millennial
skin tone. But like, there's a reason that physical sales do so well in Korea and in K-pop in general, because
They're gorgeous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful
Oh
experience.
my gosh, I looked at Twice's one for Fancy and it was like beautiful.
I haven't actually seen it.
It's really nice. But I think it's just also like, it's a talking point, it's something that you can display. It makes music a much more like physical thing that you own and love.
Invested in.
This is a tangent.
Go.
Buy as many or as few albums as you want. Don't feel pressured to buy like everything.
Yeah.
I think like that is a really thing that really annoys me.
You're
You're not more or less of a fan by how much you buy.
We got asked this recently. It was like, how many albums do you have? And I was like, I've probably got 4.
Yeah.
Out of,
They're
like-
expensive.
Yeah, and I'm paying for the tickets to the shows. I can't pay for everything. I'm paying rent in London.
Yeah. Don't even get me started.
K-pop is
And I-
expensive
I know.
pastime.
It is. It's never spent so much money on a pastime ever.
Literally.
And you cross stitch.
And I cross
and
stitch.
you cross
Come on.
stitch.
That thread doesn't come cheap.
French media, when they're talking about BTS, I guess they just talk about the makeup and the visuals. This actually comes hand in hand, I guess, with the whole toxic masculinity thing at the moment, where it's like men can't talk about feelings and men can't express themselves, be slightly flamboyant or possibly wear makeup. But little do people know, in mainstream media, all men wear makeup for camera, to be
But it's
camera
weird,
ready.
that's so weird because
Yeah.
like Young Blood literally played Reading in a dress.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, not reacting to that
Do
because I
you
don't
not
care.
remember
Like,
like Fall Out Boy like wearing guy liner?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Five
Like
Sauce all
it's
got their
not-
nail varnish on now.
Exactly, Harry Styles. I interview a lot of celebrities and a lot of them are men and they're wearing more makeup than I'm wearing.
Yeah.
And that's just normal because it makes you look better for camera. It makes you look, it makes your eyes look bigger, your eyes look brighter, all that stuff. And like, that's normalised. I think the thing about K-pop artists is they wear much more, the male artists tend to wear much more like traditionally feminine makeup. So
Yeah,
like
like
eyeshadow.
day-to-day as well.
Eyeshadow and like lip stain and stuff.
yeah.
Part of me is like, yeah, comment on it. They have a style team and they look great.
Yeah.
I think but I guess the thing that I find with that, the theme that I'm understanding here is that there isn't that much really reporting on K-pop. And so,
Literally at all.
because fans really want representation, anything that they're given, they want it to be everything. And actually one thing can't be everything for everyone.
That's true.
So until you have lots of outlets talking about it, then you can have one thing just focusing on the beauty element of it.
Yeah.
You can just have one thing focusing on the dance, then something on the writing. But if you've only got like a handful of things reporting on it, and then it's like, oh, but they didn't mention the writing. It's like, yeah, but you can't do
so
it.
many
It's a
articles,
multifaceted experience.
Different aspects of K-pop, as it were. So maybe it's the fashion and the makeup that are going to get spoken about more regularly because they are different to the norm.
Yeah, but don't you think that just starts making it feed into narrative that Korean culture is so alien? To
But then
Western culture.
I like the fact maybe they talk
Yeah.
about the makeup because then it does make it more of a natural piece to talk about in terms of maybe because if you look now, I was on Boohoo Man the other day and they're literally selling makeup to men, which 3 years ago wouldn't have been happening. I'm not saying K-pop's done that, but I think it's just normalising that thing around makeup on men.
Yeah.
So I don't think I do agree that it's annoying that that's only ever spoken about, but then at the same time I don't think it's necessarily a negative thing that it's spoken
That's
about.
the thing. I don't think it's inherently negative, and I also think that it is a big part of the whole aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like nothing in
K-beauty.
K-pop is accidental. Like everything is perfectly tailored to that concept and that theme.
Yeah.
And the makeup is a big part of that, and I think it should be celebrated because it is artistry. Again, it's like anything when you're just clamoring for representation.
Yeah.
You latch onto
Absolutely anything.
anything, and there was like comments about with anything that when like Crazy Rich Asians came out, and that was like a huge film and it made loads of money and it was the first time that it was like a predominantly all Asian cast in this big film, and then loads of stuff was praising it, and then loads of people were like, oh, but they didn't say this aspect of what it's of being in a family, this aspect of being in Singapore, and it's like, but it can't be everything. And that's just highlighting that you need more stories told, and I think it's just you need more representation.
There just needs to be more opportunities for
There
these
needs to be more coverage,
happen.
but good coverage.
100%, I totally agree on that. Definitely the idea that it's all completely shallow. They hear the groups are formed and immediately discredit all the hard work they put in and meaning to their work. Any validity at all. The music industry is very different to the West and they can't understand that.
I think that's a really good point at the end. because a lot of people only look at things through their own lens.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, well, this isn't our thing, so it's shallow.
Yeah, and I think the important... I've been thinking about this a lot recently. I was like, does the fact that a lot of these groups go through training and they have a full team behind them discredit the achievements they've done? And does it make them any less than, say, for example, I could go to Bastille, but like a group that has brought like a Britpop group that's sort of like grown?
Mm-hmm.
Does it make their success any less, or is it just a different journey completely? I've made peace with the fact that I think it's just a very different experience, and I don't think it makes any of them less talented than the other.
Yeah, I think it's like apples and oranges.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Like comparing...
What a lovely analogy.
Yeah. But like
Fruit.
comparing like an indie band that stands with guitars and doesn't do much compared to like a full scale production. They are good for different reasons. You know, you enjoy them for different reasons as well.
Yeah.
The shallow element of it is like we have a really big like onus on like authenticity, and if something like you want people to like suffer for their art and it to be like from the depths of their souls, and that
we
is
want
nice.
that sob story, don't we?
We want it to be of like destroyed someone, and like we want to
from the ashes.
But it is a thing of like, oh well, I'll give you my time because you poured your heart out to me.
It's like you've earned it.
You've earned it, exactly, and like that's fine. I do like there are lots of singer-songwriters that like do like I love Halsey, and I've like loved Halsey since I was like an emo on Tumblr like
We had
back
this chat
in the
last
day.
time.
I know.
You've met Halsey several times now, right?
Yeah, and I've like fully fangirled over her. But I like her
In a
because
professional way.
She's like a poet, and she does like bare her soul on her albums. So you do feel like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling like your trauma and everything, and that's cool. Like I love that, and I love getting to know an artist that way. But equally, I love something that has been created for me to enjoy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. Like a pop song that has been formulated for me to enjoy, I think is like as much artistry as
100%.
someone writing a song.
I think if anything as well, it kind of highlights the fact that Western music industry as a whole has been very good so far at hiding the fact that a lot of these things are orchestrated and
By
made
the same producers.
and because half the producers that write for K-pop are the same ones that write for Katy Perry or for Ellie Goulding. Like I think that there is that need for authenticity, but I think the good thing about K-pop is they're not hiding the fact that maybe they don't, BTS aside, but then having spoken to some of the songwriters, I know there are songwriters involved. But
music's collaborative.
yeah, it's a collaborative experience, and I think that the Western markets have so far, till now, done a really good job of maybe hiding the fact that, you know, Rihanna doesn't write all the songs.
They spin
now.
the narrative.
Yeah. It's like, you know, Rihanna's heavily involved. I'm very sure she is, but I definitely know for a fact that she's not going to write all the songs on her new album because she's a singer, not a songwriter.
She's also running a multi-million-dollar business.
She's also crushing
She's also a queen.
Busy.
I also think the idea of it being shallow links back to my point earlier that I made about it being something that women enjoy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that argument is only ever used with boy groups and girl groups. It's very rarely, sometimes with solo artists who are like, or like an X Factor or something.
Yes.
But for this argument, for like girl groups and boy groups, predominantly female fan base, or like considered a predominantly female fan base, and so it's shallow and it's unimportant.
Yeah.
Do you think that artists must find that so frustrating?
Yes.
Like
oh
Little
my
Mix,
God.
they must find that they've had a lot of doors closed because their fans are seen as being like young, impressionable kids. But we know that Little Mix appeals to everyone. It's like I said the other day, it's like Adele. Everyone assuming she's got 40-year-old mums listening to her music, but I love Adele.
Yeah.
That's why Piers Morgan regularly goes in on Little Mix, because he thinks that they should be dressing and acting a certain way because they've got young female fans. But then there's plenty of artists that have young female fans that don't behave in a way that maybe is reflective of that.
Yeah.
Not that young female fans need to be treated in a different way to young boy fans.
Maybe
but
just stop assuming that pop idols should be idols to young kids. They can just be their own artists.
But I also just think that like our fandom has changed so much as social media has grown, because people are able to find their fandom, and before you wouldn't have maybe had as much of a home for like if you were maybe older or like not the target demographic, you'd be like, well, I can't really engage with this because there's things being made for me to engage with.
But now you can hide behind like a picture.
You
and
can,
just
but
be
you can
yourself.
also just find your communities a lot easier.
Yes.
And so, you know, I'm in like multiple group chats about K-pop where we're all in our late 20s.
Yeah.
And
How many chats are you in? At least 8.
I think I'm in about 6.
Oh, yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Are they themed around groups or specific people in groups?
They're themed around groups, but like,
They have a concept each.
yeah, they do.
I mean, it's logical. It makes sense.
various people in various different ones. I'm like, oh, I'll talk to them about like gin. Oh my Oh my god, they're gonna actually hate me. I hope they don't see this. One of them is called Beautiful Tiny Suns.
Oh, that's nice.
BTS, but because we're like older and we're like,
Oh my god, BTS.
Oh, yeah.
because we like, you know, when you feel like protective. Of,
Yeah.
You know, you feel
Your
protective
children.
of your boys.
Yeah.
I would protect them.
It took me a really long time to realise that spelled out BTS. Like
Wait.
months after being in the
I
group,
would
I was
never
like,
wrote
oh
it
my
out.
god.
I'm glad you said it because I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, no, I literally wrote it and I was like, guys, I don't know if you've noticed this, but this spells out this. And they were like, oh my god, Lucy. Like,
It's like that
welcome.
was the point.
Duh.
Yeah. But there's other ones I can't
And thank
say.
you for feeling that you can trust this platform.
Yeah.
Thank you for
I'm-
coming to our TED Talk today. I've really enjoyed this. I think this was a good, like,
Yeah, me
cathartic
too.
experience.
I feel like I've let off a lot of like anger.
Pent up K-pop aggression.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me.
We should make this a regular thing.
I'll happily come back.
There we go. If we just find more topics to talk about for an hour.
More tangents to go on.
Thank you for watching today. You can find Lucy over on Twitter. I'm going to pop it on the screen.
Cool.
It's at Lucy.
Wait.
Do you know your Twitter handle?
Yeah, at LucyJ_Ford.
There you go.
I'm always there.
And you can go follow her for your favourite BTS memes, selfies.
Yeah, I'm not great at selfies, but I
We had
do
this
love
chat.
to share them.
Hey, I'm not good at a lot of things, but I still put it online.
Yeah.
It's
Also-
a journey.
Yeah, exactly.
If you enjoyed this video, please let us know all of your thoughts down in the comments, and make sure you press subscribe and the bell notification button so you get all of our notifications. And we'll see you guys again next time. Bye.
Ciao.